So we just had a major hearing surrounding JFK, as of course people are asking the question, what is at stake here? Well, it's our, quote, democracy.
When Obama we endured, Dementia Joe was forced away. One too many slurs, now democracy secure.
Is it? As of course, the real culprits still haven't been found, according to a lot of the historians, a lot of the people that have been doing deep dive research into all of this conspiracy that turned out to be a little bit more prophetic, a little bit more true to the core of what we're actually being revealed to right now, as Congress just had a major hearing with some big players that announced some major big news surrounding what actually happened to JFK. This, of course, is all being done by Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, that announced that she will be streaming a, quote, unprecedented hearing and review of the newly released JFK files here on X, 2 p.m. Eastern. I watched it, so you don't have to, as, of course, the witnesses that took part in this task force of declassification of federal secrets were individuals like Oliver Stone, who, by the way, previously testified to the House of Representatives about JFK all the way back in 1992. He did it once again. He was met with other fellow journalists and reporters and authors that have been specifically talking about this case, including James D. Eugenio, Jefferson Morelli. We're going to get into some of their testimony because some of it is pretty big here. It's important to talk about in the bigger context of exactly what's happening right now, as very interestingly, there's a lot of parallels to what was happening back then and what is also happening and has been happening here domestically within the United States political circus that a lot of people believe also underwent a bigger coup d'etat attempt, subversion, and biological forms of warfare that now the CIA JFK documents reveal they were doing all the way back up until the 1960s. As a lot of people were saying that this was some kind of April Fool's joke, that this was not going to happen. There was originally a little delay to the hearing, but then, of course, it did go on, and this was the beginning of it, which I think was interesting because it definitely set the tone for the conversation here.
Located at the National Archives, it is time to present the findings to the American people so that they can determine the truth for themselves. What has been alarming to me is the amount of stonewalling the federal government put forward to hide this information from the American people. The days of overclassification in the name of national security is coming to an end. The revelations emerging from these files are nothing short of staggering discoveries that challenge the long-held assumptions and raise profound questions about what we've been told happened on that day.
Yep, as now we're finding out, the government lied. They knew a lot more than they led on to, and most importantly, we found out that they were doing a lot of other really crazy, sinister things in the backdrop of these documents, as, of course, a lot of people, I don't know why, but we were talking about this from the very beginning. The CIA is not going to say, "Dear Diary, today we assassinated the President of the United States." Okay, there's still a lot of the testimony that's missing. There still are some documents that are being redacted, but obviously they are not going to admit. Criminals don't admit. They don't. Sometimes they do because it's a psychological thing. But clandestine, independent operations aren't operations that are detailed, specifically when there's criminal, sinister elements involved in them, committing, one of the biggest crimes against the American government within the American government. So obviously, we're not going to have any kind of smoking guns here, but we do have tidbits from these JFK files that do paint a big picture to, I think, some really sinister levels of government involvement here one way or another. As Oliver Stone just specifically called on for lawmakers to reopen the Kennedy assassination investigation, which I think should be done. As I think we have now been presented with more questions than answers from this document drop, as it's important to note here that there are pressures from both the left and the right to have accountability and transparency here, as there are still some people that are trying to block it from happening. We had members of the previous Trump administration that said, no, you can't release these documents. We can't tell the people what's going on here. That's a bunch of crap, as there needs to be some responsibility here from one of the biggest actions against the U.S. government. As now we found out through this 2-hour long congressional hearing that witnesses are coming out and saying that these documents reveal more than what we previously thought and what the CIA knew. There's also talks about how witnesses claim that Lee Harvey Oswald might have potentially fired the gun here, even though there's contested now footage that NBC allegedly has of Lee Harvey Oswald outside of the building. I don't know if that has been corroborated yet, but as we know, the latest of which is that members of Congress are asking NBC News to release this bombshell footage that they are being accused of sitting on. But people are also saying through these hearings that, he might have potentially taken the shots here, even though it's impossible for many sharpshooters to take those shots and to accomplish the job that Lee Harvey Oswald was able to accomplish. As a lot of people believe that Lee Harvey Oswald was more involved with the CIA than we previously knew about. As we do see in the documents that the CIA was tracking and watching him and on their radar very severely. No. But the conclusion is he definitely wasn't the kind of intellectual author here of all of this. As we still, the official version of events is he acted alone, totally alone, by himself. Why did he do it? We don't know. Maybe he hated America. I don't know. As Oliver Stone has now called for more investigations, and yes, please let's have more investigations here. As the GOP chair also suggested, without evidence, that prior investigations withheld information from the general public, and I think that's pretty clear here. As you know, this type of stuff, these types of conversations are more important than ever, as I think what Oliver Stone said here during the beginning of his talk to the members of Congress during this committee meeting were very important. Before playing that, we want to tell you about wearechange.shop. As of course, recently we did a contest for all of you guys that signed up to our email list. Once you go to wearechange.shop, a little email list pops up here. You get to sign up, and then we did a little contest, and we asked you guys a question. The people who answered the question in the most funniest, creative ways got a free prize. So shouts out to David S. He just won the contest. And shouts out to Heather V. You also won and will be getting a free prize that will be mailed to you because you participated in our questionnaire. It wasn't even really a questionnaire. It was kind of like a little quiz thing. It was about just having you guys active and involved here, as that's the type of stuff that we are doing here behind the scenes. Shouts out to Stephanie, the button pusher, for organizing that for you guys. We do a lot of really fun stuff. She's doing a lot of really fun creative stuff, and we have a lot of really secret fun stuff that we give out to the people who buy our great products. And again, we got some good stuff available for you guys here. Top of the line stuff that you can't get anywhere else, that is verified through us. I personally take this stuff. I give it to my family. I enjoy it. I think you will too. Get it all exclusively. I think the ultimate bundle is one of the best ones, but the brain and body bundle are pretty legit here. So check them out. And go support this independent media broadcast. wearechange.shop. Do your own due diligence, do your own homework before taking anything into your body, and just make sure you're making the right moves for yourself on an individual one-on-one basis. Now, let's continue on with what Oliver Stone had to say here, which I thought was very important.
I asked the committee to reopen what the Warren Commission failed miserably to complete. I ask you in good faith, outside all political considerations, to reinvestigate the assassination of this President Kennedy from the scene of the crime to the courtroom, which never happened, but which means the chain of custody on the rifle, the bullets, the fingerprints, the autopsy that defies belief, and that if it were a murder, we'd have given to the poorest man dying in a gutter. Let us reinvestigate the fingerprints of intelligence all over Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yep. If you haven't watched Oliver Stone's movie about this, it's a pretty well-done movie, as a lot of people are kind of feeling frustrated in the conspiracy world about this. One user said, unless they're prepared to name names of everyone involved in a conspiracy and cover-up, any further energy is a waste of taxpayer dollars. That I would say was a little bit of a negative Nancy, as we had one of the people testifying, Jefferson Morelli, that came out. And again, he's an ex-reporter from the Washington Post. And he came out, and he actually did name some of the names in his testimony. I'm going to retweet this at Luke We Are Changed. But I thought what he was saying specifically, talking about the individuals that were complicit, that were involved here, that played a role here, I think that's important. And this is the type of stuff, this is the type of juicy meat that we need more of.
This is what I believe in summary. One false statement might be incompetence. A second false statement might be CYA for the first false statement. But 3 false statements by top CIA officers about Kennedy's accused killer, that is a pattern. It's a pattern of misconduct. It's a pattern of malfeasance. If 3 police officers lie about their knowledge of a homicide defendant, that cannot be considered exculpatory evidence. To the contrary, it shows guilty knowledge and criminal culpability. It is, in a word, incriminating. The new fact pattern leads to a new conclusion. We know now what they knew about Oswald and when they knew it. We know now that Richard Helms, James Angleton, and George Joannides were responsible for or complicit in the death of the president, either by criminal negligence or covert action.
And whichever one it is, they should be held responsible because their actions were the ones that's specifically led to this crazy, insane, chaotic situation where the president of the United States was taken out. This is a big deal here. It's a serious deal. And people are like, oh, there's some right-wing commentators like Ben Shapiro be like, why does it care what happened 16 years ago? It matters. It absolutely matters because I believe the same kind of rogue criminal elements of the intel agencies that were never held accountable for all the egregious, horrible things that they have done. They have conducted human trafficking. They have conducted drug trafficking. They have overthrown governments. They have started wars. They have created biological weapons that they have implemented and used, like we've seen in Operation Mongoose. They have weaponized things like ticks, where it's no longer frickin' safe to be out there in nature by yourself, since now there's a biological weapon out there, according to many scientists and sources who have dug into the research into it. I gotta say that because YouTube, whatever. It's pretty clear. It's pretty clear, pretty evident that we are being bamboozled. We are being lied to. Shouts out to Jefferson for naming names here, because I think this is the most important part here, and I think this is the most important testimony that we got from this particular day, that shows people, yeah, there's actual names to this, as there are stories of rogue criminal elements within the CIA. And if you're one of the people in the CIA, you're one of the good guys. You want this out. You don't want criminal organizations within your group, your organization, making you look that horrible, that awful. You need to rein this in, as we have to start to ask ourselves, what are we willing to accept? What are we willing to let go? What are we willing to forgive and forget here, as the powers, the institutions that created all of this, that did all these horrible, horrendous things, were never held accountable. Therefore, they're probably doing them, but they're probably doing them way more now. I bet, and this is my own personal speculation, this is just my own personal theory out here, a couple decades from now, we're going to look back, maybe sooner, with everything kind of just being revealed as much as it is online and through social media. But I really do believe we're going to find out, you know that fentanyl? Yeah, that was all CIA. CIA was bringing that in, just like they were bringing in the crack cocaine and introducing it into poor communities here in the United States, all through the Iran-Contra. Oh, you know those terrorists, those crazy guys? Yeah, we find out every single... That's being found out right now. You know those biological weapons. You know why there's so much sicknesses and illnesses and disease and horrible biological weapons. Oh yeah, they made that and they just released it to the general public just to for funsies. Yeah, I bet that's probably going to be the larger disclosures, because why wouldn't it be? If you look at every single decade and you have the corporate media cheerleading them every step of the way here, saying, oh yeah, this rogue criminal element of the government that was never held accountable, they're totally not doing that again, right? Why would they stop? They had no reason to stop. This right here, these hearings are the first steps, along with the Epstein documents that hopefully come out soon. These are the first steps to significantly make sure and secure the future of transparency and accountability of rogue criminal elements within our own government that have went absolute bananas, and they're doing some really awful, horrible things. If you agree with that, share this video. Get your supplements. wearechange.shop. Make sure you only take ashwagandha 3 or 1 month out of the year. Do your own due diligence. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on youtube.com/wearechange.